Hello, hello, hello. Just had a slight technical issue there. I saw Sophia online. I'll just wait a little bit for more people to join. If this is a playback, if you're watching this as a playback, thank you for doing so. It's really appreciated. I am always humbled and elated when those all around the world check out my small little channel on the interwebs. So, welcome those who have joined. And yeah, the one person that's joined, thank you so much for joining. So, today's topic is about your man not liking your natural hair. What should you do? But before we get started, if you're okay to do so, let me know in the chat box how you are doing. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about my hair today. So, this hairstyle, those of you who don't know, I am the worst at styling. Like, I just don't do it. Unfortunately, I'm just not the best at styling my hair. It's something I need to learn how to do. So, what I did was I had my hair in like 4 sections and then twisted the sections, and then as you probably can see, and then tucked them into each other, the front and the back. Then I have this Alice band, which I absolutely love, and I just put it up here. It was a lot more neater when I first did it because I had a more defined middle part. And yeah, and I just got a little, my sister said I look like a ballerina. Lol. Got a little purple turtleneck on, that's velvet, and a little pink skirt that I'm probably not going to show you. But yeah, that's just me today. So the topic is my man doesn't like my natural hair. What should I do? Last week when I jumped on a live, I mentioned about the topic was you've done the big chop and your significant other wants to break up. And this is kind of a follow-on to that. There were some excellent comments made during the live. Hello. There were some excellent comments made during the live as well as after that live. So it'll be very interesting to hear what people have to say, those that jump in during the live and even after. So, your man doesn't like your natural hair. What would you do? One comment that was made in a different live suggested that if their boyfriend broke up with them because they did the big chop, they would take it differently compared to a husband. So, having said that, let's apply that same logic here. A husband versus a boyfriend. I believe, I'm a bit, apparently this is old school, but I just think boyfriends and husbands, they have different, what is the word I'm looking for? Benefits, if that makes sense. Hey, Yinka, they have different benefits. So my husband versus my boyfriend, hopefully I will not have two at the same time, lol, but it's just a different ball game. So if a boyfriend, depending on how deep we were, was telling me that he didn't like my natural hair, I'm going to have to just wave my hand left to right, put my hand up and just give him a wave if we were not that deep in. Because my assumption is if we were that deep in, he would have seen me on my natural hair. Those of you that know me in real life know that I wear my real hair 99.9% of the time. Like, it's very rare that I have my hair in extensions. When I go on holiday, I might get my hair braided and stuff like that. So yeah, if a husband was saying he didn't like your natural hair, did you just become natural? Are you newly natural? Has he known you to be a natural? What is the reason as to why he's coming to this revelation? And I'm going to say it as say it to be a revelation, because if it's me right now, like whoever I get with, they're going to meet me with natural hair. It's not like I'm going to be wigging it out or have a relaxer. Then one day I reveal, like, oh, by the way, I'm natural. But it could, let's say I did go back and relax my hair, or I started wearing wigs, and then I'm like, hey, I'm natural. I could understand why it might be a shock. I won't understand why they would find my hair distasteful. Sometimes I think, let's be very sincere with ourselves, that some people just don't like the way our hair is styled. Hi, Sophia. They don't like the way our hair is styled. So there's a learning of that, not just with ourselves, with other people as well. So that might be a reason why your man might not like your hair. What does it look like? Let's be very sincere. Does he like that hairstyle? I have a friend actually. I don't know if you'll ever remember this. Some years back, like years ago, she said something to the effect of like she just doesn't understand why certain men are so pressed when it comes to issues like relating to women, such as what they do with their hair. I do agree with that a little bit. You know, if you have a man and he's met you with natural hair, I just don't understand why all of a sudden he might not like the hair. He can not like things associated with the hair, such as the fact that it might take you 2 hours to detangle your hair, like to detangle, wash, and style your hair. The fact that you're going to be trying a lot of products, and if he's paying for it, he might not like that. Like stuff like that, I get. But in terms of the texture, the look, and if he doesn't like that, I find that problematic. But then it's just a reflection of our society. It's a reflection of the fact that many of us are still very much learning our hair, embracing our hair. And the reason why I know this to be true is just right now, just think about the last time you went out somewhere and you saw a crowd of, you know, fellow Black women. How many of them had their natural hair, like no extensions, no wig, no weave? They just had their natural hair. Just think about that, because a lot of us are like natural undercover, if that makes sense. I was like that for many years, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that because you're still learning your hair. But how many people do you know that wear their hair quite boldly? Yink, I'm going to read your comment in a minute. How many of us do that? So that in itself, you know, sends this message of, oh, maybe our hair isn't that nice. Maybe it's not acceptable. And then there's this internal hatred that we have towards our hair and even other people because they're just unfortunately not used to it because we tend to cover it up. So just going to read Yinka's comment, and it says, but he should know that our natural hair is part of the package. Absolutely. If you are a wig wearer or like putting extensions in from time to time, the natural hair gets revealed. The texture comes with us. I love that. The texture comes with us. And the comment about the natural hair is part of the package. But you'll be so surprised that some men have never seen their girlfriend's natural hair. Like, even if she just has her relaxed hair, they always see her in some form of an extra, you know, with a wig, a weave, extensions. I have a friend, her ex-boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, I hope that makes sense, was so like had never seen what's it called, her hair. So when my friend and him were going out, I remember one time her hair must have got wet or something, and her hair started to curl up. And this guy, a Black guy, was freaking out, like, what is happening to your hair? I think he just was under the impression that all Black women wear hair extensions. So, and I know your hair extensions can curl up, but this was literally her hair. It started to like wave up, and he was like having a panic attack because he's obviously been in relationships where he'd never ever seen the natural hair. So for him, it was a shock. But for him to not like that, like I've already mentioned, there might be certain factors. He's not used to seeing it. Natural hair is not embraced the way it should be. So it's like, but what are your thoughts? You know, what do you think? Leave the comments, you know, below or in the box. If your man was like, I don't really like your natural hair, don't really like it. So let's say it's a case where he's aware that you're a naturalista. Let's say you even make natural hair videos. Oh my days, like this is like your bread and butter. You inform women about how to look after their hair. Then you're, let's say, 2.5 years deep in a relationship or in a marriage, have mercy. And he's just like, that hair, I'm just not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it, baby. You're going to do something about it? And you're just like, what? How would that make you feel? Like I said, I think boyfriends and husbands, they have different privileges. A husband would have more, in my personal opinion. So imagine if that was a husband and he said that. For me, I think it's worth having a conversation. Like, baby, like, when did you come to this conclusion that all of a sudden you don't like my hair? Did you and the boys have a conversation? Did some of your boys have a comment about how natural hair is not that great? Do you think natural hair represents something and you don't want to be attached to that very thing if it's a negative connotation? Like, we just can't be in a whole relationship and a whole marriage and you just wake up and be like, I don't like your hair. So what would you do? Let me know in the comments down below. You know, I've got stories for days. So some of you might not know, but many moons ago, I lived in Senegal. Yes, I lived in Senegal, West Africa. No, je parle un petit peu français. I speak a little bit of French, so I don't speak. I should have said no, no. I don't speak a lot of French. So yeah, my français, c'est comme ci, comme ça. It's so bad now. It's been much better. I'm like, why are you talking about Senegal? Right. There's this thing, and those of you who watch my videos, I am West African, I'm Nigerian, and a sprinkle of Ghana. And there's a lot of things said about Nigerians. So it's very interesting when we travel and see things. I'm like, wow, Nigerians ain't that bad. So I was in Senegal, and they have a huge bleaching culture. When I went, this was like 2017. It might shock some people that they have a huge bleaching culture. So women are encouraged, or in some instances, forced to bleach their skin. And I remember the time I was living there, I was there for like 4 or 5 months, and it was very normal to be out in the hot Senegalese sun. If you've ever been to, let's say, Nigeria, Senegalese sun is hotter than that. Well, if you're from the southern part of Nigeria, Senegalese sun is super hot. Like, I remember I lived in Senegal. I got so tanned, and then I think I came back to England for a week. Then I flew to Nigeria, and I was in Nigeria for like almost 2 months, and my skin started to fade. Like, that's in Nigeria, my tan was like, I was losing my tan. Can you imagine? That's how hot Senegal was. So was normal for women to hold umbrellas in the hot Senegalese sun, so the sun wasn't burning their skin because they were bleaching their skin. And it was also, polygamy is very much a thing in Senegal. It's something like 90, dare I say, 95% Muslim. It might have changed. And then you've got animist belief that make up a portion. And then you've got, I'll read your comment in a minute, Sophia. Then you've got a portion that's quite Catholic. Right, where's Rachel going with this? Allegedly, I really do believe this, several men would encourage their wives to bleach their skin. I repeat that. Several men would encourage their wives to bleach their skin. Right. And some of us who are in the West, and we're like, girl, you just leave the marriage. And some of us who are maybe Jamaican, Nigerian women who are quite strong-headed and stuff like that, will be like, I'm out of here. But you have to understand, one thing I saw in Senegal, it's different in terms of the femininity there. Like, African women are quite feminine, if that makes sense. So they're more, but Senegalese women, they're not really the type, from what I observed, to just walk out on their marriage, if that makes sense. Not saying other cultures are more inclined to do that. So if your husband is telling you to bleach, you don't have a 9 to 5, he's literally paying for your lifestyle, he's paying for everything, and you don't want to bleach your skin, what are you going to do about that? The same we can apply to the hair. Your husband's like, I'm going to need you to relax your hair. Your husband's paying for everything. Let me read some of the comments. Sophia's mentioned, I used to hate my natural hair, even though I was natural most of my life. My dad used to say natural hair is beautiful and I should be proud of it. It took me many years to love it. I can relate to that. For me, thank you so much for being so personal and sharing that comment. My dad as well wouldn't say black is beautiful, blah, blah, blah. But when you live in a society where you're told otherwise, you begin to doubt that very thing. And in some instances, that's why some people have a spouse, a boyfriend, that can be like, I don't really like that hair. Not because he doesn't like it. It's just based on what other people are saying. So another comment from Sophia says, I had an epiphany. It's better to have nappy hair than hair loss. Thank you for sharing. And Lady Kimmy says, I think guys are quite honest when it comes to hair. If a guy doesn't like natural hair, I don't think he would appreciate a natural hair woman. Thank you so much for sharing that. So that's even a lesson for those of us who are wanting to get into relationships. What is his view about natural hair? If he's like, it's all right, but he's not really feeling it, then that might be a sign to not enter that. Because as Lady Kimmy has said here, men can be quite honest when it comes to their hair. But if you could just maybe share some comments, if you found yourself in a relationship, right, and this was said, maybe you were combing out your hair, about to put it in some flexi rods. Maybe you go into a nice dinner, later on in the next day. So you're preparing the night before, how we are with our hair. You're doing your hair, washed your hair, detangled it, putting in some flexi rods. Maybe you want to give it a light press, getting ready. and your husband is like, oh, you're spending too long on your hair, or your boyfriend, and then they just turn around and say, I don't like your hair anyway. Like, what are you actually going to do? You're just going to be stood there shocked. Would you leave the marriage? That might be a bit extreme, but we live in a generation now. Toothpaste is not squeezed properly. People be like, I'm out of this. I'm gone, So, yeah. And bear in mind what I shared about some women in Senegal, what I learned there. Some of them are very reliant on their husband. So if they leave their marriage just because their husband doesn't like something quite superficial in them, it can be quite detrimental to them, their well-being, and even the well-being of their children. One thing we have to understand as well, we women that are in the West, we are quite fortunate in many ways. We are quite fortunate in that some of these things that I discussed, they might not be pressing issues to us just because of the type of society we live in. But there's other women that it can be quite a challenging thing. It can cause serious arguments. I know of someone, when they were little, the dad just observed how often the child would be crying when they got their hair done. He loved the natural hair, but was like, oh, my child's always crying. So decided to give the child a big chop without the telling of the mother. Just said, I'm going to cut your hair off today. I'm going to cut your hair off today, sweetheart. We love your hair, but we're going to just have it a bit lower because it's stressing you out. Not that he hated the hair, just like, this thing is stressing out my child. But yeah, it's something to think about. I think also it's important, with some experiences shared today on the chat about us not liking our hair, that we take the time to educate more people about our hair. So educating our significant others, our family members, even fellow Black women, so that we begin to almost turn this view of natural hair, the negative views about natural hair. And I suppose that's why I have my channel, and I'm really trying to do more chit chats here and there so I can learn from my amazing subscribers, and also to just have an outlet to talk about these things that pertain us as Black people. So I think if there is more education about our hair, the beauty of our hair and the significance of our hair, like I know in the Bible it says, is it the hair is the crown of a woman? So it's such a beautiful thing, to have long, healthy, short, healthy, just healthy hair, whether your hair is long, short, medium, whether you even do like you decide to shave your whole hair off and you're growing it back, like whatever your hair is like, it's very important that, yes, it's healthy and that those around you love your hair at every stage. I know there was this YouTuber many moons ago who mentioned her husband, I can't remember who the character was, likened her big chop to a certain character in a Spike Lee movie. I can't remember the character, but it was quite something, that comparison. And this was a time where natural hair wasn't being embraced as much. Dare she cut her hair now, I don't think he would have made that comment, So another comment from Sophia. Thank you. Ray, some Black men do not like Black women's natural hair, but my husband loves my natural hair and he's white. He loves touching it. That is so lovely to read. That's so lovely to read. I think sometimes the black men not liking our hair texture is because of the fact that they also have learned that nappy ain't happy. Dare I use such a phrase, and they need a lot of unlearning when it comes to the embracing of our hair. And there is that thing, actually, a lot of women that are married or dating white men or Asian men have noted that they seem to embrace our hair more. But having said that, I don't know. I just sometimes think Black Western men are more inclined to be like, I don't like your hair. I know that might sound really horrible. So when you're on the continent, or you just have friends from the continent, they just really I don't know how to describe, they just really love seeing your hair. For some of them, it's a bit like, what's that? What's that? Like your hair, like, but I just find men on the continent are more inclined to love my natural hair more than men here in the West. That's just my personal experience. Maybe some of you have a different experience. Yeah, so that's just my view. And even my dad, and like yours, Sophia, really encouraged me to love my dark skin and my hair. I remember once one of my sisters relaxed their hair, and my dad like low-key had not a breakdown. He didn't cry, but it literally took him aback. And it's so funny because his other daughters, like me and my other sister, had relaxed her hair, but my other sister, she didn't. at that time. Maybe because she was so young, my dad was like, "You stretched your hair, bless him, you stretched your hair," and he was just like, yeah, he just looked mortified, like, "What have you done to your hair?" And just like, we've got 2 daughters that have already done this, so what is this about? But yeah, he just was not impressed at all. But he is, my dad is one of those that he likes like natural hair. He's not African. He's an African man to the point like he would like your hair like this. It's out of your face. We can see what's going on. All this afro out. My dad's like, you're gonna tie that back? I remember when I was going natural and I showed him some images of women that had their big afros out. My dad was like, can't they tie their hair back? I'm just like, that's the style. Like that's the style, Dad. But in his head, he was like, this thing, it needs to be packed. It needs to be, you need to do something with it. Put it up, put it down. Oh, amen. Praise God indeed. He is a gem when he wants to be. I actually called my dad. No, he called me. Then I missed a phone call. Then I called him back today, and we were laughing about some of the political candidates that are running for Nigeria. It's so funny. I'm not even political, but you just always talk about these topics. But yeah, that's a whole nother story for another day. But I am learning, and just I think there's not really a conclusion. I think it's going to be an ongoing conversation in terms of if your man doesn't like your hair, depending on if he's a husband, a boyfriend, fiance, it may differ how you treat him. It's important, as it's been suggested, to get with a guy who will love your hair from jump. And have these conversations, especially as Black women, as the natural hair movement is still quite new. So when I went natural, I think it was when did I do the big chop? 2013, started transition in 2012. And that's 10 years when I started my natural hair journey. So 10 years in the grand scheme of things is a very small amount of time where we've had to learn and do all this with our hair, encourage people to embrace it. And I've been natural for a long time. Sophia, you said you've been natural for most of your life, but there's some people that have been natural for, let's say, only the last 5 years, and more people are becoming more aware of the natural hair movement. So there's a lot of learning and unlearning that we will have to do here and there. But then there's always that thing of, why do I have to teach people? Why can't you read a book? But some people, they just need to be taught. They just need to be taught. But it's very important that you have those conversations as well. Another thing is, that I'm, what I'm getting as well from this conversation, these things do happen. And I know someone mentioned it on another, I don't know if it was a live or one of my posts. Oh, thank you so much. The way you have been reacting with my post, everyone, really appreciate that. Something about maybe making your significant other part of the experience. So maybe getting them to be part of your wash day, or when, Sophia, you mentioned your significant other, they like to touch your hair. Just like, some people are like, oh, that's a red flag. But I just think it's just breaking down. If it's a significant other, yeah, they can touch your hair, just significant other, come on. Like, just breaking down barriers, encouraging them to embrace the hair, to learn of the hair. If you're trying to get them involved and they're still not budging, I don't know, maybe just blast a ton of YouTube videos and just show beautiful women, show women showing their beautiful hair. Like, yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Sophia. I try. I think I'm tired. I wanted to put my hair in mini braids, and I don't think my sister's gonna, if she's watching this live, I don't think she's gonna help me put them in mini braids today. Rhoda, no, she's probably not going to. Thank you so much. Well, those of you who will watch this as a playback, do leave your comments down below. So your man doesn't like your natural hair, what would you do? Those that have joined the conversation, thank you so much for doing so. I'm always amazed, like, when people like jump on a live and like engage, and it's a bit like, okay, girl, get over it. But no, it's pretty cool, isn't it? That you can connect with people from all around the globe about topics that you are passionate about. So I am dropping a video tomorrow, and I would really appreciate it if you share the video with every single body. So your mom, your dad, your man, your friends, your colleagues. Like, I can't wait to drop this video. I recorded it ages ago, and it took me about, I want to say, like 2 days to edit. And the topic is so weird because when I was creating the video, I didn't know what to title it, but I've titled it for now. I might change it: The Rise and Fall of the Natural Hair Community. So it's very interesting. And I did make some effort in there. So I do hope you like that. And that will drop 5 o'clock UK time tomorrow. So I talk about a number of things. So briefly, the history of natural hair and factors that I think have played a part in the decline of the natural hair community. So little spoiler alert for you lot that have joined. So I'm going to go. Thank you so much for joining. Please leave even more comments. Have a good evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you are. And don't forget to check out my video tomorrow, and see you next Tuesday, I believe. But actually, I might do it next Sunday because you did a poll. And you take care too. I did a poll and you guys said you prefer to do the lives on Sundays. I will be doing it on Sundays then, God willing. So yeah, take care. Thank you. Love you all as well. Love you too, Sophia. And yeah, have a good evening, afternoon, or morning. Bye. And thank you again. Bye.